Jr. and some other free agent wide receivers that are still floating out there, maybe options for Baltimore.
Yeah, let's start with Odell. So Miami Dolphins are trying pretty hard to sign Odell Beckham. They made him, I'm told, at least one contract offer, possibly two. They've been in contact with him and his representatives. They're not quite there yet. There has not been that financial golf bridge. So I'm told Beckham is willing to wait if he has to a little bit. He's done this in the past. Certainly wants to go to the right fit, but there is interest mutually in Miami. And I was told it doesn't count against their comp pick formula for the Dolphins because of.
So this is pretty interesting because I'm not entirely sure what you're going to want to do with Odell Beckham Jr. at this point. He is not who he was. And if you keep trying to chase a receiver or a player at all for that matter, a once was, and all because you try to tell yourself, we just need a little bit of that production. If you could just give us one big play a game, or, if we could just get 70% of what he was, that will be good enough. And we do this all the time with a lot of these older players or injured players that are just not who they were. And it pretty much never works out. Unless you're in a perfect situation and you do have like a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady, and you're just not, and you don't really need to rely on them. But the truth is the Dolphins need to get better. They need to get more physical. I mean, they need to if they want to actually make a run at the AFC, let alone a Super Bowl, they need to get significantly better. And OBJ is not him. They need and I'm not saying they even necessarily needed this, but they need this type of level, right? I'm not saying that they needed these players specifically, but I'm just trying to say in terms of the level of impact. They needed a Diggs or a Saquon Barkley, right? They needed, some of these bigger players that can truly move the needle. OBJ is not going to move the needle. Now, don't get me wrong. If OBJ is truly okay being the third option and maybe having a touchdown here or there, but for the most part, not being fully featured as much as he would like, and he's okay with that, then sure. It's not the worst move. But one, I question whether or not Miami Dolphins culture can handle that. I question whether or not Tua can handle a diva wide receiver who will be give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And I love Tua, so that's not a knock on Tua. And, I just question it. Although, I do believe that Mike McDaniel is, a brilliant offensive mind. So you give him another weapon. I think he can maximize OBJ at this point of his career. But I just think they need to really upgrade significantly. And they need to get more physical. And OBJ is always banged up. Tyreek Hill is always banged up. They get banged up. They need more physical, healthy, younger players that they can truly count on and rely on. So I'm just not so sure. And one of the red flags is that, they can't lock down the money. They haven't been able to agree on the money. And that means OBJ's looking for money. And if he's looking for more money, then that's already a red flag to me. Because you can't be spending too much money on OBJ at this point. You just can't. You really, really can't. He's not the missing link for them. He's just not. If he was the missing link, then I could understand. If he was 4 years younger and a couple surgeries removed, I would understand. But the reality is that he's really only been successful for, a few seasons, however many seasons it was with the Giants. Did nothing with the Browns and was successful for 25 minutes with Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and the Rams. And was an integral part to winning that Super Bowl. Absolutely. But then got injured and needed, more surgery. And then what did he do with Baltimore, really? Where was he in the playoffs? Where was he against the Ravens? Nowhere. So The Dolphins need to step up. This would be a great move, say, for like the Chiefs, because they have the culture. They have Patrick Mahomes. It's right. It's undeniable. Patrick Mahomes is the Patrick Mahomes. There's no question about that. OBJ is not going to be able to influence Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes for a second. Similar to adding AB to Tom Brady's roster, right? That's when you can do it. But in this situation with Miami, they already have a somewhat questionable level of resilience, and a younger quarterback who still hasn't even gotten his payday yet. A head coach who I think is great, but people still seem to question. And, a fan base that's starting to get antsy with the Dolphins. Because, with Tua, with McDaniel, it's supposed to be a new era for them. And yet, they made the playoffs, hooray, but then they did nothing against the Chiefs. And, they had a big game against the Bills the week before, whether it was a week before or 2 weeks before. I forget if that was the final game of the season or not, or the second to last game. And they couldn't pull it off. It just showed you how far behind they really are. So I just think that if you spend too much money and you waste too much time on trying to see what you can do with Odell Beckham, I think that's not the thread that you ultimately should be pulling. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think OBJ should go to Miami? Do you think Miami should want him? And if not, who else, where else do you think OBJ should go, or what other moves do you think Miami can make? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.